Hi everyone, welcome back to Earl Grey Books. I'm Ellie and today I am doing my March mid-month wrap-up. So, not the usual wrap-up spot, but uni, my desk is a mess because I have 3 assignments due in the next 2.5 weeks. So, there's just stuff everywhere and it's already kind of late. It's like after 6 and I just couldn't be bothered to clean it for this video and then have to put it all back for class tomorrow. So I haven't had the greatest reading month so far in March. I've read 7 books, which isn't great for me, but also I just didn't enjoy most of them, so there's that. And we're going to talk about them, and hopefully I will have a better reading month for the second half. Okay, let's jump in. Started the month off with Wed Him Before You Bed Him by Sabrina Jeffries. So I read the rest of this series in Feb and I just didn't get to this one in time. I didn't like this one. I loved most of the other books in this series and this one was such a letdown. I was loving it at the start. I was so excited and then I just did not care at all. I thought I would love this one the most because I really enjoyed Charlotte throughout these other books. She is the headmistress of this school. There's this whole thing with her cousin Michael, who she writes letters to and she doesn't know who he is. And we find out and I just didn't really care. So gave this one 3 stars. And yeah, but I finished a series. Next up, kind of in the same vein, I went on to read Famine by Laura Thalassa, which is the 3rd book in the Four Horsemen series. It's in the same vein because this is me catching up to the series. There is no release date on the 4th book as of right now. I will read that when it's out, but for now I am caught up on the series. I really like this one, not as much as the previous 2, but in terms of everything else that I read, this was one of the better things. This is a series, a romance series that follows the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse coming down to Earth and falling in love with human women, and it's just a lot of fun, to be honest. Next up, we got into some uni reading. So I had to read Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe. This is the first time I ever read this. I've read Marlowe a little in the past. This was okay, honestly. It's a very short play. In terms of like actually physically reading it, I got through it pretty quick. Don't really have any strong feelings about this. Gave this 3.5. And yes, I count everything I read, or all the like books or plays or poetry that I read for uni as part of my reading because yes. Okay. I also reread The Red Pyramid by Rick Riordan. Also gave this one 3.5. I enjoyed this a little bit more than I did the first time around. In fact, I loved the first 2/3 of this book. It's just like that ending or that end section gets really boring and I kind of hated it. But I loved the rest of it. The rest of it was great and I was reading it hey, how come I didn't like this the first time? This is great. And then I hit that part and I was like, oh, that's why. But hoping to start book 2 in the next few days. Crossing fingers that possibly Bookopathon will be kind to me and I might be able to slip this in to one of the prompts that we get in the 48-hour readathon that starts tomorrow. So if everyone could cross fingers. I know you're all crossing your fingers for yourself if you're participating. So, yes, let's hope that it's kind to us. More uni reading. Othello by William Shakespeare. This was a reread. Hated it the first time. Equally hated it the second. Though I do have to say that this was the book we were studying this week. I had my lectures for this on Monday and Tuesday, and I actually really enjoyed that side of it. The guest lecturer that we had this week as well was just incredible, and I really liked the way he looked at this and got me thinking about things that I wouldn't have thought about before, and just learned some interesting things that I just hadn't picked up on. But glad. I'm not even done with this yet because I have to write a review as one of those assignments. So yay. Love Othello. I gave that one 3 stars because yeah. Okay. Also got to Women and Leadership by Julia Gillard and Ngozi. I wrote this down. Akonjo Iweala, I believe is how you say her name. I actually really like this one. For those of you who don't know, Julia Gillard was the first and only female Prime Minister here in Australia, and they interview a bunch of female presidents, prime ministers, other women in top jobs, so people like Hillary Clinton, Jacinda Ardern, who is the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Theresa May, and a few other people. And it's also kind of it's not just straight interviews, they kind of do critical analysis of different ideas that they have that connect to how women are seen in leadership and how they respond to it and things like that. And it was really interesting, so highly recommend that one. And then Metal Fish Falling Snow by Kath Moore. This was my first read for the Stellar Longlist Prize for 2021, which was announced at the start of this month. I was running the discussion on this one, which went live on Wednesday, and I always link. I have a book club, in which we read the long list of the prize. So I was running the discussion on this one on Wednesday, so that's always linked below. And this is a YA. YA very rarely makes the list, and I just wasn't fussed about this one. I've loved the 2 other YA that made the list in previous years that I've read. I think I haven't read one of them, but the other 2 I loved. And I just didn't really feel any emotional attachment to this one at all, and I thought I would because it's about a young teenager named Dylan who has lost her mother in a freak accident, and I was like, hey, I can connect to that. That's gonna make me tear up, and it didn't. And I just really didn't form any emotional attachment to it at all. And this is one of those books where I think you need that to enjoy it. It's a contemporary, it's like a road trip, family sort of thing. So yeah, I think you really need that attachment because there isn't really much of a plot. It's mostly about those characters, and yeah, I just didn't care. So it's sad. I mean, I didn't hate it. I think that a lot of people do love this book, and I think you just have to find some connection to those characters. And for me, it wasn't there. So that's it for March so far. Hoping that with Bookopathon this weekend, and with hopefully kind of getting more into being back in classes, virtually, but still, back in the semester, I'm hoping that I will kind of, work that out, and I will be able to read a little bit more in this second half, and hopefully some books that I end up really enjoying. But that is the video for today. I hope you're all doing super well, and I will see you guys on Monday. Bye.